Nancy Gardner Sewell, the mother of U.S. Representative Terri Sewell, died Thursday. She was 81 years old. Her daughter announced the passing on social media. "Today, with deep sadness and a heavy heart, my brothers and I share the news of the passing of our beloved mother, Nancy Gardner Sewell," Rep. Sewell wrote. "Our family appreciates your continued thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. Details of services to follow." Nancy Gardner Sewell and siblings grew up in Hope Hull, part of the Black Belt that straddles two counties, Lowndes and Montgomery. A place in time blacks and whites tenuously coexisted. At best. Where blacks had their place. Where blacks were killed. Just because. No man's land, she called it in 2019 when we last spoke. "There was so much killing in Lowndes County, so much killing," Sewell told AL.com in 2019. "A lot of my relatives were killed and lynched and dragged in the streets. Daddy didn't let the girls go out at night. He didn't want my brothers out there either because he knew there were things he could not control. It was also a time that was on the cusp of change. She and so many like her, some of them leaders, some foot soldiers, some of them simply Alabamians, witnessed and lived through it. Lord, we've come a long way, Jesus," Sewell said while sitting at a table in her daughter's Selma office. Periodically as she spoke, she struck the table, for emphasis. Hail! Hail! But we cannot afford to take our eyes off the prize. The struggle is not over with. The Gardners see deep into Alabama's past. Sewell's grandfather, Reverend Thomas Gardner, pastored at the Beulah Primitive Baptist Church, where her father, Reverend Thomas Gardner Jr., pastored until passing the pulpit to her brother, Reverend Thomas Gardner III. Reverend Thomas Gardner Jr., Sewell's father, was a farmer, as were many blacks in South Alabama in her youth. They raised cotton on the land behind the church, as well as corn, peanuts, potatoes, tomatoes, and other vegetables. There were also plenty of cattle, ducks, chickens, and goats. "Daddy was not lazy," Sewell says. "We lived well. We always had plenty." Gardner, typically, too, in those times, didn't own the land he worked. "I didn't know we were sharecroppers until I was grown," Sewell said. "Daddy offered so many times to buy the land, but Mr. Hagler refused to sell that land to any people in the black community. The rent was paid in cotton. Each year, the first 7 to 10 bales, Sewell doesn't recall exactly how many, went to Mr. Hagler. The rest went to Daddy, that was our profit," she said. "That was okay in good years, but in lean years when there was a drought. Hail! Hail!" Before the historic Montgomery bus boycott unfolded in 1955, Nancy Sewell began attending Alabama State in Montgomery. Her brother worked at the Bishop Parker Furniture and Warehouse in the state capital, so he dropped his sister off at school. When the weather was bad, she took the bus downtown after class to meet him.